Hello, welcome to Chat with Dr. Kat. I'm Dr. Kat. We're going to be talking about parental and partner alienation. Now, I'm not going to go into a major deep dive here, but I do want to address this because I am seeing it in so many places on TikTok and some of these other reels that I'm seeing where people are blaming different reasons as to why that's occurring. One of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now is that they're blaming the therapist. I find that interesting. A therapist shouldn't be telling you need to leave your parent, ignore your parent. Maybe they're suggesting boundaries. But here's what should be happening in therapy, and that is here are different options. If you choose this path, this is what you can expect, potentially. If you choose this path, this is what you can expect. I will say this, if you're in a relationship that is toxic and you're in a relationship where you're being put in a situation where you're feeling less than, you're feeling judged, you're feeling humiliated, then what you need to do is redefine that relationship. You don't always have to walk away. And I don't always think it's the therapist telling you. I will tell you this. I do think the biggest culprit is a lot to do with social media. There are so many things out there saying, oh, this is the narcissistic parent. This is the, parent who is abusive. This is the parent that is this. This is the partner. This is the partner. Okay, I'm going to separate a little bit. When it comes to parental alienation or narcissism or on any of these other things, this is what I find fascinating. A lot of times it's people who've taken a deep dive, they've looked into it because maybe they've had an experience with it. And now all these people fit into this category. I guarantee you, if you look at the list or you look at those issues that they're presenting, oh, this is the narcissistic mother, narcissistic father. Every single one of us has experienced at least one or two of those things, meaning we've done it. A lot of times it's when you have a teenager. We've done those things. Oh my gosh, you're so ungrateful. Everything I've done for you. Okay, well, sometimes you're saying to your kid, hey, I've done 1,000 great things. I've done 2 things that aren't so great, but you continue to be ungrateful. You're not grateful for what I'm giving you. You're not grateful for what we're providing, the love, the family, clothes, food, all of these different things. Now, they're not grateful at the expense of their own humanity or their own voice, but at the same time, there needs to be a basic level of appreciation. So, not everyone fits in that category. And I remember when I was going through school and everything else, and I had this one beautiful professor that said, okay, everybody, and this was my master's level. They said, now, you're going to go through the diagnostic manual and you will literally be able to diagnose every single member of your family. But I guarantee you, most of them do not have that diagnosis. It really is a more specialized view that people have when you're in my profession. We're able to see things a lot clearer. The diagnoses are more clear, and other things we can look at as, that's kind of behavior that they've learned. It's not necessarily something that's diagnosable. But on social media, we're slammed. We're inundated with that. Kids are inundated with that. And they feel the best choice is now to alienate their parent. Not a great choice. The best thing to do is work with your relationship. Work on making it better. I mean, I know a situation where, you have an 88-year-old mother and her choice is to alienate her because she's not doing what she wants her to do. Okay, that's someone not wanting to get or not getting their way. And they choose to punish their parent as opposed to work on the relationship. You will see this quite a bit where people walk away because their parent won't do what they want them to do. Or say you have with multiple siblings and one will come back and say, oh, you love this one more, you do this more. They don't love more. But I will say this, if you've got one sibling that is much more kind, attentive, and caring and loving to a parent, especially as they're getting older in life, they will tend to want to be with that parent because as we age, we do get a little bit more childlike. We do need more nurturing. when someone's 88, work on the issues, see what's going on, work out your stuff in therapy, but you may not get the response that you want from that person because they're in that phase of life. Rather than torture yourself, rather than keep speaking about the points, kind of work with them and see what you can do. Now, another parental alienation form that I'd like to talk about is oftentimes we see this when parents are going through divorce. And one parent is so angry at the other parent. Now, that anger comes from the marital part, not necessarily the parenting. More often than not, it's not the parenting side, but they're angry about the marriage being over, angry that they can't control that person anymore. And the next thing they do, they try to work with that child, create stories, maybe take a story that was this big, create this massive story, and get to the point where that child now alienates the parent. That parent also goes into therapy, creates all these stories. Now, see, this is where therapy comes into play. And this is something that I do. I don't know about everyone else, but I think the majority of us tend to do this. Is that when somebody comes in and says, this is what's going on with this other parent, and they bring in the children to see me. Well, if both parents have custody, then I need to speak to both parents. And it's wise for me to be able to speak to both because it gives me the bigger picture. Everything is about perception. One person may see something very clearly, the other person sees something very clearly, and oftentimes there's a happy medium of honesty right in the middle. And it's because we all have perception. So that is what we should be doing. We should be taking that next level, see what's going on. But if you find that you are the parent who is so angry about their marriage that you are now influencing your children, please stop. Please stop. You're doing a tremendous amount of damage. Tremendous amount of damage. You should be encouraging your children to work out the issues of divorce with that other parent, making sure that you can co-parent together. Now, easy said, hard to do. But you don't want to keep blasting the other parent and creating alienation because those children will never get that vital time with that parent ever again. And eventually, maybe not in all situations, but eventually, the majority of the time, those children will come back to you, the parent who's alienating the other parent, later in life, and you will be blamed. And it will be a hard struggle to get back. Because once they really reach a level in their life where they have kids, they're going to look and say, oh my goodness, I missed out on all that time. So let's do our best to not have what happens in our relationships play out with our parenting relationships. Now, on the couple's side, this is a hard one. This is a very difficult one, especially when people come to see me. Now, here are my hard no's, okay? Again, I don't tell people walk away from a marriage. I know sometimes people think I do because their partner has decided to leave. And of course, they want to blame someone else other than themselves. My whole view, and I hope the majority of therapists, is to keep a family and a couple intact. They come to you, let's see what we can do to work on this relationship. Let's make it work. Now, here's the thing. I can give you a playbook of how exactly you can get your relationship back, but it's up to you if you're going to follow it. More often than not, it's a huge struggle. One will, one won't, or neither won't. Then it gets to the point where the person makes a decision to not continue the relationship. I will say this. If you are in a relationship where the other person is feeling controlled or manipulated, unseen, unimportant, and they keep telling you this over and over and over again, and all they want to do is feel loved, cared for, valued, appreciated, and not ignored, let me tell you something. You either do it or you don't. And if you don't, you may lose that relationship. And at that point, you got to look back and say, oh my goodness, if I had only stepped in and done this, if I had only did this, then I wouldn't be in this situation. You know, people always think adding a little time or doing something different is going to take something away from their focus. Maybe for the moment, but it's worth it in the long run. You know, here's another factor that I'm going to put into another episode as well. If you had somebody in your relationship that went outside of the marriage, this is a difficult one. And I'm just going to give you a basic example because we have all ranges of affairs, right? You've got some that have a different family somewhere. We have some that the affairs have gone on forever. We've got some that it only happened one time. That's the example I'm going to give you right now. One person has an affair and they say it meant nothing. Now, to that person that it meant nothing to, I believe them. I've seen this 100 times, at least. It meant nothing. It was in the moment. Sometimes drugs and alcohol played a part. Not an excuse, but it happens. And it was a physical reaction, and it was in the moment. And it truly meant nothing in that moment. They don't want to see this person again. Oftentimes, maybe they don't even know who this person is. But to the other person, let me tell you what they're feeling. Rejected, betrayed, belittled, humiliated, devalued, maybe ugly, unappreciated. Just those adjectives alone. And you keep saying, it meant nothing. It meant nothing. Rather than focus on the it meant nothing, what you need to focus on are building those feelings back up again. Don't gaslight. Don't turn it around. You need to address the emotions that are coming from your partner by a choice you made. Now, I gave you an example of that with an affair, but this is true of every situation. Eventually, in a relationship, people get tired of saying the same things over and over and over again. Eventually, they're going to hit the wall, and then they're going to walk away. The partner is going to feel alienated and say, oh my gosh, where did this come from? What just happened? They went to therapy and now they're doing this. Let me tell you something. It is not the therapy that has allowed this person to get to that point. The therapy created the space for that person to finally verbalize what they have been feeling all along. They finally have been in a place where they're validated and heard, cared for, and respected. Those emotions have now led them to a place to love and value themselves to the point where they make a decision. If you find a therapist who ever says to you, leave that person over some of these situations, there's thousands upon thousands of us. Go find somebody else. Don't go to a therapist who's going to be a yes person and say everything you want. But I will say this, I do have some hard no's. If someone comes to me and they're getting beaten repeatedly physically, I'm going to help them with an escape plan. If someone comes to me and they say that their partner are touching their children, oh yes, I'm going to start with an escape plan. And I'm going to reach out because a child cannot be in that position. No. Other than that, maybe there's a few others that regards to safety, criminal, where children are at risk, elders are at risk. Other than that, it needs to be the person's choice. So Let's start looking at social media. Let's start looking at what's being said to our kids that lead them to think these things. Have conversations with your children about it. Remind them of beautiful times with the family. Remind them. Teenagers are hard and they want answers. And right now we're living in an environment where they feel, and a time of life where they feel that their words are the most important and no one else matters. It's a struggle. It's real. I get it. Parent alienation, not the answer. You alienating a parent because you're angry, not the answer. You blaming maybe therapy when you realize that you've done all these things wrong. No, stop. Work on the issue. Stop blaming. You're going to wind up alone. Listen to your partner. They're important. And you only have so long before they're not going to want to take it anymore. Do your best. Listen. Okay. Have a great rest of the day. And I will have some other episodes just on these two things as well.